Episode 24, Season 2, Our Town. Alright, Scully is mad that they are messing with integrity of the X-Files, but then thinks Mulder's thoughts on Foxfire is just ghost stories. That's my first note. Yeah, Scully gets very uppity about, like, them, you know, fucking with the integrity of the X-Files, and it's like, this is crazy, and then Mulder comes out and is like, it's Foxfire, and she's like, Mulder, you're a fucking idiot. Like, what are we doing here? The X-Files are stupid and beneath me. It's like, which one is it, Dana?
Dana.
Is it that the X-Files need to be taken seriously, or are you just going to roll your eyes and be like, oh, Mulder, Foxfire, are we serious?
It's both.
It is both with her.
Yeah.
It is both. It's like, oh, Mulder, I believe you. Not JK.
JK, LOL.
Yeah, dude, 100 LOL. Okay, that was like half my notes. That was a long,
that's
that was
it.
a long
That's
one.
the video.
That's this video, I guess. All right, so we have this. I don't even really need my notes for this one, honestly. But you've got this guy. He's screwing around with some younger girl, and there's this like freaking kabuki tribe kind of thing that comes and kills him with one of those wooden masks that you see in some like indigenous freaking Krippendorf's tribe. No one's ever seen that movie but me.
No, I have not seen that movie.
When he drinks the milk and he spits it out and he's looking for the date, he's like, the month, give me the year. I always thought that was so funny when I first saw it. Because he thinks it's that rancid that it's got to be like years old, not months old. Anyway, it's a Richard Dreyfuss movie. Look it up. I'm like the only person that's ever talked about that film ever. Ever. No one saw it but me. Okay? None of the other reviews are real. Okay, moving on. But yeah, so she's in on it. We'll get to this. So it ends up being there's this chicken factory, and all of the people there are cannibals, and they're working with this guy who owns the chicken plant, and they're eating people to stay young. Mm-hmm. And he's some World War II pilot who was shot down and landed on this, into this tribe, and they taught him their ways. And he's like 97 years old at the end of this before he dies. But he looks like, I don't know, he looks like 70. He doesn't look that great. Like, I wouldn't eat people. Now, if they were like, hey, this person died of natural causes. If you eat them, you're going to look 20 for like 50 years or indefinitely. I'd do it. 100%.
You wouldn't ask if there was any caveats or anything?
Well, sure. I mean, is there?
Yeah.
No, okay. For this, though, they're murdering people. Right?
Yes.
That I'm not okay with. But if it's just like, you wait until a grandma or grandpa passes away in the senior facilities, and their bodies are just not being used anymore. You didn't kill anyone. And you could just consume their flesh and stay young forever? Fuck yeah. But murdering people? Okay, the point I was trying to make is they're not really, like, getting enough benefit to justify murdering people for me. Now, I wouldn't do it probably for any reason.
Probably.
I don't know. It would depend on who it was. Just some real shitbags, and I could live a hell of a lot longer. I mean, it's kind of a win-win for me. They're like, how about you take out this absolute fucking monster of a person and you'll live forever? Yeah, I'm listening. But just like, some guy who's cheating on his wife with some younger girl, nah, that's not enough. And as I'm saying, though, the reward isn't worth the price. Killing people for you to maybe live 20 extra years, that's not really like, it's good, but it's not amazing. It's not like I'm killing people over it. If it's like, this guy's 1,000 years old, I'd be like, okay. Like, I can absolutely see why people would do that. But when looks 70 and they're like, he's 90, I'm like, that's not that good. Because, like, the other girl, they say she's 47, and she looks, and they're like, that can't be right. She looks like she's in her, like, mid-20s. And it's like, okay, so 20 years again. So it seems to, like, take 20 years off.
Yeah.
But you continue to keep aging up until you die. So even if you continue to keep consuming the flesh, it just delays aging a bit.
Yeah. And
it's like, that's not enough for me to justify murdering people, right? Like, even for, like, them. You know what I mean?
In this hypothetical situation, I am not eating a person.
No, I understand.
I don't care what the benefits are.
What I'm saying is that the believability of people going cannibal, like an entire town.
Yeah.
It has to be a justification that is big enough for, like, many people to be in on it that are all in the same town.
I think that it's not so... They can delay death, like, inevitably if they keep doing this.
You think so?
I don't think that it's just, like...
Why is he 70-something years old then?
Because I don't think they kill that many people.
Sure they do. They find 87 bodies.
Oh, you're right. There's a lot of bodies in there.
87.
But that's over, like, years and years. Right?
I mean, he comes back from World War II. I don't know when he starts the chicken plant. But they find 87 remains.
Yeah.
And that's just what they found in the river runoff from, like, the blood. Which is so crazy. And that's real. Yeah. These factories just fucking, like, they, just let the blood run into, like, groundwater and shit.
Awful.
It's wild stuff. But
I also really hate that they are feeding the chickens
to the chickens. Yeah, they, like, ground up their shit and feed them back to them.
So awful.
Which, that's literally how mad cow disease started.
100%, but
so
it's just, like, it's so cruel and gross and, like...
It's inhumane.
It's super inhumane.
But everything there is inhumane.
Of course. Chicken factories in general.
But it just seems like... It seems like cruelty for cruelty's sake. It seems like...
It's not cruelty for cruelty's sake. It's like cruelty to save money. It's like cruelty to, like, cut corners and, like, try and save a buck.
But I'm just saying it feels like... It's just like... I'm blanking on the fucking phrase right now that I always say for that. But it's add insult to injury is what I was trying to think of.
Yeah.
It feels like it's adding insult to injury. For me, it's like, we're going to lock you in tiny little cages. Your lives are going to fucking suck. And then also, you're cannibals. We're feeding you your own relatives. It's just
beyond.
It's like as mean as like unnatural as humanly possible.
It's so crazy that it's like you can say that and it's like that's real. Like that I mean, maybe not the feeding. I mean, I'm sure that's happened, of course, or they've fed chickens to other chickens, but the, like, locking you in a tiny cage and, like, that's, like, a reality that happens in the world, like, every single day.
Yeah.
And it's so horrific and awful. Like, if it was humans, people would be completely outraged. And, like, obviously a lot of people are outraged by it, but it's just so crazy that it's, like, it's a norm.
Yeah.
It's something people just accept, or they don't... I mean, really, it's just people don't think about it. Because they either don't know about it, or they just don't think about it.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
People are very much like that with all things.
Especially when it comes to food.
We look past shit all the time. Like,
of course,
even with humans.
Yeah.
We know what the working conditions of people who are making all of our goods go through.
Yeah.
And we don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could get into a big, long discussion about the morality of people and what we look past in order to just live our life.
Our town,
has
does that very well. They look past a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, it finally backfires on them when one of the people they eat has a very rare disease, and it leads to very quick young death. From dementia. I forget what the disease is called. It's some ridiculous name, of course. But they all get this. And I think... So the girl who he was going to bang in the beginning is the first person to exhibit signs of it. And she attacks her boss and holds him at gunpoint or at knife point, and then they shoot her into the like chicken feed. And I was like, well, I think you're going to have to scoop that out. But then I'm sure they're like, yeah, we're going to make sure we clean that up.
Oh, yeah. They're just like,
they definitely did not.
Yeah.
Especially since the fact at the end, they ground up their dear leader and throw him in there. Yeah. Which didn't really make much sense to me because, number one, I don't know how they got the body away from there before anyone showed up. I would think that Mulder and Scully would kind of just hang out there. But they get the body, but then they also are like, we're closing the chicken plant. But then they like chop him up and throw him in the feed and are feeding him to the chickens, and it's like, but this plant is closed. So, huh? I mean, I don't really know. I think it's just to dispose of the body or something, but I don't really know for what.
Yeah.
Like, why even hide the body?
I didn't think that the factory closed. I thought something...
Oh, yeah, they were shutting down the plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were shutting down the plant. But, like, I don't understand the point of cutting up the body and throwing it in there. Like, they're exposed. Yeah. Mulder and Scully figured it out.
It's like the last, like, they're like, all right, well, everybody will eat a little bit of him in the end.
But then they throw him, but it's very much suggested in the end that he's in the feed. So they didn't eat him. The chickens are eating him.
And then they eat the chickens. Actually, the chickens get shipped elsewhere.
Right, but I don't think it's cross-contaminated that way. You can't get it from the poultry, right? So
you have to eat the human itself.
The people, like, this would be like some kind of a pandemic, right? Where it'd be some, like, disease that was spreading. If it was in the chickens, those would have already gotten shipped out from what they were feeding them. But I don't know, because they usually take the humans that they consume, because these really are supposed to just be the chickens that they're feeding back to themselves. And then they find the bones because they've been boiled. And then those, the people in the cult, the tribe, they're the ones eating the humans. Like, they eat them, like, they don't feed them to the chickens and then eat the chickens.
Yeah, they just eat the humans.
They eat the humans because I don't think... If a chicken consumed you and then you ate that chicken, you wouldn't get this disease from it. Okay. I don't think that's... Unless I completely missed it, and this is how they're getting them. They're eating the humans. Yeah. They're not... Because then it wouldn't be cannibalism. If I fed a chicken you and then I ate the chicken, that's not cannibalism.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right? So, I mean, it would be like cannibalism by proxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not real cannibalism. So anyways, I don't really understand the point of even like grounding up the body and throwing it in there. Like, as I said, they're already exposed. They have other people there who are dead. I don't really get that, but they just decided we're gonna get rid of them. He keeps their heads, shrinks them down. He's like a straight up like witch doctor from the movies. Scully is knocked out once again. I really wish we used like a Scully Mulder unconscious counter to see how much brain damage and concussions that they have sustained during this show. The sheriff of the town was the executioner. Yeah. The sheriff is either like... The sheriff's always in on it to some degree.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Right? He's either the dog-faced boy or... I feel like the cops they work with are like 9 times out of 10 in on it to some degree. The sign for their factory at the end is good people, good food.
Which is clever.
It's cute. Soylent Green probably should have also went with that. Yeah. And that's really it. Mulder saves Scully's life once again. He's done it many, many times. And she's saved his life many times. They make a good pair. But she is about to be decapitated. One of them is decapitated. Good thing Scully didn't go first. Mulder wouldn't have got there in time, and we'd be watching a much different show. What if they did? What if they just cut Scully's head off in this episode? Go still like Game of Thrones style.
And they would not watch the show anymore. Or
Yeah.
maybe they would. Maybe it would have that much of an impact like Game of Thrones does. Probably not. I think in the 90s, people were still wanting pretty standard television for the most part.
Yeah.
I think if you did something like that, they would be like,
Yeah, you can't Ned Stark.
Scully? No.
Ned Scully.
No.
Yeah. They could have went for it. I'd be pissed.
Yeah, I would too.
But, I also like it. I like changing it up. I'd probably be here defending it right now. Not Scully. Not my Scully.
Not Scully.
All right, that's it. Moving on.
Bye.
I don't even know what this was. What was that? I was like, this is like the laziest peace sign I've ever given.